Hello everybody, Father Sean here. Hope you are grand. I am continuing today this little series on the capital sins, the deadly sins, 7 deadly sins. And today we're talking about pride. I'm going to address kind of what pride looks like, what are the causes of it, and then also I'm going to conclude with what are the cures. If I'm a proud person, how do I stop? How do I become humble? So first off, what is pride? Let's kind of look at the definition there. One of our great theologians in the church, perhaps the greatest, St. Thomas Aquinas, talks about pride as an inordinate desire for one's own excellence. And kind of the resulting consequence is that it rejects subordination to God. I care about my own excellence, and my excellence is independent of God. And we can do this in different ways. But it's like, I am excellent. I have this excellence, and everyone should know this. This is a good thing. Like, people don't realize how good I am. St. Gregory the Great, he's also one of the great teachers and doctors of the church. He was a pope back in 500 or something like that. He described it with a little bit more detail, with a little bit more context. He talks about it in 4 different ways, and I find these to be super, super helpful. Because it's like, okay, I have this desire for excellence that might be a little bit out of order, out of the normal, how I should normally be acting, but what are some examples? What does this look like? St. Gregory gives it a little bit of a texture here. So first off, he talks about the belief that one's goodness is from oneself. I made myself great. This is kind of the idea of the self-made man. Like, I am who I am today because I made myself this way. I worked to make myself this way. And I got no one to thank but myself. I did it all on my own. No one created me. No one gave me virtue. No one gave me help. No one gave me any status to start with or any resources. It's all me. It is all me. Well, that's not true because we all have a context that we came from that had the opportunities for us. Secondly, we might say that this goodness that we do have is from God, but it's deserved. We deserve this. I feel like maybe sometimes in the United States we can think about this, where we will certainly say, God has blessed the United States. Wow, we have all these resources, we have freedom, we have all these things, and these are truly gifts of God, because they're not just happenstance kind of things. They're truly gifts of God. But I think it's going to be wrong to say that we deserve it. We have fought for it. We went to war. We shed our blood for our freedom, and therefore God kind of owes this to us. We could say this more personally, I have suffered for the Lord. I went through all these things, and God has blessed me coming out here because of what I did for Him. Sometimes people in ministry or people who have responsibilities for others might say, "Oh, take it easy. You deserve it. You deserve to go on a sweet vacation. You deserve to have a little extra drink at night. You deserve to have a little extra piece of cake or whatever." Well, that's proud. That's just a proud way of thinking. We don't deserve it just because anything. God is gracious. God has given to us these things. But we have not really deserved anything because we have erred. And that sin has really kind of dwarfed our relationship with Him. Stagnated it, and He restores it, but we always got to remember where that came from. It was from His grace, His mercy, and that was not earned. Thirdly, we can claim a form of excellence that we actually don't possess. This is the person who puts on a facade, hey, look who I am. You might not have noticed, but I'm a pretty important person, and you should respect me. We could say this for whatever reason. We could say, hey, look, I'm a super sporty person, even though I don't go to the gym or do any exercises. We could say, hey, look, I got my family in order. My family is good. But we can also say, well, all my kids are going crazy and my spouse is, not in good shape. And me, myself, I'm kind of the worst of them all. We have all these ways of putting up a facade to claim what we don't have. And this is a form of pride. Fourthly, there is the desire, it's despising other people, to kind of put them down so that we can be lifted up. We can be the only ones who can have this honor, this glory. Think about it in like the business world. Like if you're going to be number one in the business, you're going to have to aim at, this is the false way of thinking, a very uncharitable way of thinking. You're going to have to aim at these other businesses to make sure that they go down if you're going to be the one who goes up. I mean, it doesn't take much observation. You just go into any playground and be like, ha ha ha, little Johnny's, blah, 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 or whatever it is. So this is also the sin of envy. This really corresponds there, being like, oh, if that's what they have, well, fine, you know, we can make fun of that person. And they make us feel better. We feel more excellent in that regard. So these are some of the expressions of this sin of pride, this desire for our own excellence that is not ordered toward the proper good, which is God and the virtuous life. Some comments about pride also. Pride is not a sin that makes us feel so ashamed. The sins that make us feel so ashamed make us feel more animal. Think about lust. Well, it's just like, oof, I can't believe that just happened. Like I feel like a gross beast, an animal. Pride is not like that because we don't have that experience. You have to have a spirit in order to be proud. And because of that, we don't have the experience of shame so much. However, because it is so inclusive, it engages so much our higher spirit, it can be all the more contradictory to God, who is also spirit. And it can be attempt to rival God and his grandeur. And then there is no more serious sin, because then it becomes hatred of God, a despise of God, despising God. That's terrible. That is very bad, because we owe him everything. We subject our lives to him joyfully, because that's our honor to serve him. Biblically speaking, the Proverbs are filled with little tidbits of pride and how bad it is and how good it is to be humble. I'm not going to go into those because there's just so dang many. Think about what Mary said. Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord, be it done unto me according to thy will, according to thy word. My soul magnifies the Lord. He has lifted up the lowly and has cast down the mighty. Her example is in great contrast to the very story that is so proud. This is the story of the angel of light, who was created above all the other angels. He was the top of the hierarchy of all the angels. And he was so close to God that God filled him with his own light, with his own magnificence. He could see into God, and he could see God's plan, that one day he would bring forth a child, but this child would be the sending of the second person of the Holy Trinity in human flesh, and he would suffer. And this angel of light, in Latin that's Lucifer, this angel of light did not like that. And he said, God, are you serious? Is this what you're doing? God said, yes, this is my choice. Satan then says, this is terrible, this is gross, human flesh, that is not good for you. If this is what you're going to do, I'm not serving. It's kind of this famous line of Satan, I will not serve. And then God clearly says, if you will not serve me, there is no space for you in heaven. Be gone from me. And then Satan leaves. And as Satan looks back, he says, I would rather be the king. I would rather be a servant in hell than to be a king in heaven. It's just like, oof, wow. He's leaving with great spite towards God. This is the essence of pride, where it's like, God, I hate you and I hate your plan and I will not serve you at all. And Mary is the total opposite, because she looks at God. God, you are all good, you are all love, you are all humility. You want to humble yourself through my flesh. I will let you do this. Be it done unto me according to thy word. And through her experience of humility, her choice of humility, God becomes flesh to save us. Praise the Lord. So now, let's address how to overcome pride. Got a few things here. First is a little scriptural wisdom from St. Paul's letter to the Romans, chapter 12. Do not be haughty. Haughty being proud. Haughty comes from the word high. Do not be high and lofty over other people, but associate with the lowly. Associate with the lowly. So if you want to grow in pride, don't grow in pride. If you want to grow in humility, hang out with God's little ones. Be friends with people who the world might kind of scorn. We had one professor in seminary. This is just a small little example. And he said, when you see a wheelchair, boom, you're next to that person. You're attracted to that wheelchair like a magnet. Go and be with that person because you need to minister to them first before others. And he warned us against the idea of being ministered towards just the intelligent, just the beautiful, just the friendly, just the rich, those kind of people. That kind of priest is proud. The priest who is humble is the one who is associating with the lowly. And this is also relevant for all laity, clearly. Secondly, this is what I often kind of give as a penance in confession when there's pride involved. I'll say, you know what? Go and clean a toilet. Clean a toilet and don't tell anyone about it. Because we need to recognize we are servants. And it doesn't matter. And when we tell other people that, I just want to be a little servant, well, that ruins it. We need to be a servant and be pleased alone with God viewing us. So if you want to be humble, go clean something, do some form of dumb, silly, humble service, and don't tell a soul. It'll make you humble. Thirdly, because this is such a spiritual sin and it's confronting our relationship with God very directly, meditation, mental prayer will be a very key support for you and for me. We meditate on the first things and we meditate upon the last things. What I mean by the first things is the creation of the world, the first sin, the first angelic sin, Adam and Eve's sin, our first sin in our life, our creation, how much we are dependent. We didn't create ourselves. We didn't establish for us the conditions of our well-being of today. All these things are a gift. And to be thankful for that. Be thankful for our family, our jobs, our career, our education, or whatever it is. How I got to be today, we need to be thankful for. We need to meditate on the beginning, where we came from. We came from God. All is gift from Him. And we also need to think about where we're going. We need to be considering, the four last things: death, heaven, hell, judgment, because they're real. And we need to put ourselves into the grand scheme of reality and say, oh my gosh, I am but dust, and to dust I will return. And after I return to dust, my spirit will then be before the throne of God, and I'm going to be held accountable for everything. Oof, okay, I better recognize myself to be small and to go into a relationship of humble service of the Lord. Really meditating on that will transform you. It will make you holy. It will make you humble. My brothers and sisters, again, if these videos are helpful, please share this with someone. Make a little comment, or at least hit the little like button. Give a little heart there, something like that. This helps get the message out there if this is helpful. Maybe it's not helpful. If not, you've probably already tuned it out. Peace to you, my brothers and sisters. God bless you. Please say a prayer for me.